The mayor will not be here. He's at a NOPEC Energy conference. Starting with ordinance 89, 2016, coming back to Mr. Black, second and third reading. Anyone opposed to that? I believe I have that one still.
I am not opposed.
Hearing none other, moving on to 95 will be our first one. Dave, will you take that one? It's confirming the final appointment of the mayor of Heather DePenty to the position of part-time police and fire dispatcher. Chief, would you like to speak to Ms. DePenty at all?
She's been on a year, so this is just another.
This is just the confirmation?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's the final.
Yeah, I
Will she
understand.
be here tonight? Oh, can't embarrass her.
So she's leaving probation?
No speech tonight, Mr. Moore.
Okay,
So that's my first one, leaving probation.
that shouldn't be a problem.
So
Oh,
third read.
probation. Not great.
Moving on to 96. Kevin, will you take this one, please? This is the appointment of Jade Hathaway to position of full-time police officer.
Is this,
He's
are we,
present. He's present this evening.
Yeah.
are we filling the position? Or do
He's
you
filling
retire?
Glenn's position. Glenn's now in the schools.
Oh, okay.
So it's a
Having lunch,
replacement?
Yes.
having lunch and recess.
Okay.
Right, so it's already in the budget is the question. The answer is
Okay.
yes. And it's because,
Actually, Dave was in the budget, I think, since March. We've been struggling that hard to find.
So you found someone you think is reasonable? Okay.
I would have presented him if he wasn't.
Is he the one with the whole family?
He's the one with the.
Yeah, there's a mom up
Remember
there.
that.
I'll put a
Remember
star
that.
next to
Okay.
the little guy was the police officer, but I guess
Yeah.
that must be the
Well, there
child.
was a
No,
baby.
no,
Sister
that was
Ann gonna be
Glenn.
Whoa.
No one?
Got that little card.
With lights now.
All right, moving on to 97. Sylvia, you would take that one. This is the appointment of Stephen Attewell. Should have been Attewell.
Well, yeah, I believe he's here.
Position part-time.
Is it part-time for
Part-time jail.
jailers? Yeah, all
I think
right.
it's correct in the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just.
It's Attewell.
Yeah.
Third read, Sylvia.
Yes.
Moving on to 98. Jan, will you take that one? This is the ordinance providing for the 2017 temporary appropriations. We have our astute finance director here. Would you like to briefly speak to that?
Well, we're gonna wait till we're
Yeah.
gonna just do first reading. And then on December 1st, first Thursday of the month, should sound familiar to Dave and Nick, because that's when we used to always do them. At 6 o'clock, we'll do a finance meeting so we can go over it in depth, but we wanted to give it as first reading. And on the first, then Rhonda has agreed to be able to go over it in depth and make any adjustments that we need, and at that time, answer any questions.
The time on that again, please?
6. Isn't that what we agreed on? Okay.
Anything you want to add? She hit it all on the head.
Good.
Other motions, donation of building materials valued at approximately $300 from Home Depot to the Longwood Manor Historical Society for use at the Manor House. Kevin, will you make that motion, please?
Sure, sir.
That
Do
is
you know
it,
what the
folks.
donation was from Home Depot?
I do not know. I am not aware.
I'm just
Building
curious.
materials.
So,
Oh, okay.
This is what the email.
I'm not sure if this is, I do have some questions for Ms. Heineken. Should I ask them under unfinished business or new business?
Heineken?
Not related to anything presented, you can do it in our new business.
Okay.
And that's all we have, folks, so we have about 10 minutes.
Excuse me, the email said lumber, paint, and building materials, so I included all of the building materials. Lumber, paint, and
Conservation of letters.
Thank you and welcome to the November 10th, 2016 council meeting. It's 7:30 PM. Mrs. RCC, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Bilkey.
Here.
Mr. Engel.
Here.
Ms. Hannikin.
Here.
Mr. Molnar.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
And now I ask Tom O'Brien, American Legion Post 801 chaplain, to lead us in prayer and then following, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We also ask everyone to remove their hats.
First, I would like to say there's two celebrations. One today, we're celebrating the 241 years of the United States Marine Corps, and still going strong, I might add. In observance of Veterans Day tomorrow, The invocation that I'll be giving this evening is the same that is given at the beginning of every American Legion meeting throughout the world. So with bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we pray Thee to guide our work in this meeting and in all our days. Send Thy peace to our nation and to all nations. Hasten the fulfillment of Thy promise of peace that shall have no end. We pray for those who serve the people and guard the public welfare, that by Thy blessing they may be enabled to discharge their duties honestly and well. We pray for our comrades that, by Thy help, they may observe the strictest justice, keep alive the fires of freedom, strive earnestly for the spirit of democracy, and preserve untarnished our loyalty to our country and to Thee. Finally, O God of mercy, we ask Thy blessing and comfort for those comrades who are suffering mental and physical disability. Cheer them and bring them Thy blessing of health and happiness. Amen. And now, please face the flag, and with hand over heart, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. First up, we have the financial report acknowledging the receipts of October 31st, 2016.
I'd make a motion that we acknowledge receipt of the financial report dated October 31st, 2016 is submitted by our finance director.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I also like to make a motion to announce the mayor's court revenue for October was $33,567.50.
He's just making that announcement, so.
It said motion on there, sorry.
I know.
Okay. All right, next up, we have public comments. First is Mr. Metzel.
Oh, I thought it was second.
Oh, sorry. I'm shuffling a lot of paper up here.
Just a few things. And I want to thank the service department. You guys with the leaf pickup are really doing a good job. Because I had stuff scattered all over the place.
Right back there.
Huh? Yeah? Yeah, they were, you know, I got a big tree lawn. It's over 300 feet because I got a corner lot. And I had piles here, piles there, piles over here, and then some of them were scattered a little bit because I got this big oak tree. And they would come over there and they raked them up on some of them. Some of them I had in piles, and I could see them just going crazy over there. It started raining. They were still working in the rain, so they did a good job. They're going to come back again later because my oak tree is a little slow this year. It just keeps dropping them. I'm dropping them, so that's it. Yeah, I want to talk about a little bit about the election. I was really not Trump and Clinton, not that election. I don't want to get into that. I hear that from everybody, so I'm going to stay out of that one. But you know, the tax levies that were out there, I was really surprised there was still such a big difference for the roads. And the rec center really surprised me because that was so close that, you know, I thought that would pass because that's like a renewal, and the other one was a new tax. So that whole thing surprised me a lot. And I know my neighbor was here a couple of weeks ago or something, and she was talking about thanking the fire department and the police department, and I'd like to thank them because they really do a great job. I see them around all the time, and especially around our street sometimes we get on the next street to get the people that buzz through that intersection over there without stopping. They can't see a stop sign. They just go right through there, so, you know, to keep everybody safe. And I just think everybody in the city is doing a great job. That's my opinion. I just like to thank you all. And the veterans, I was in the Army, and I'm sure there were people here from the Navy, from the Marines, from wherever. And thank you for your service. And it was a pleasure for me to serve. And I hope it was a pleasure for all the rest of the people to serve. And I hope the younger people will follow in our footsteps and, you know, enlist, you know. And this, I know it's terrible when they have these wars going on and all this kind of stuff, but, you know, I mean, That's your right, and it's your privilege. If you want your family to survive, and you want to be free and be democratic, that's what you do. So I just want to thank them all, and tomorrow go out and get all that free food. Applebee's, Chili's, I can't all this stuff. I can only go to one.
Thank you, Mr. Metzel. Up next is Tracy Ruggiero. Sorry if I slaughtered that.
Oh, yes, there's Tracy. Oh, my goodness.
Good evening. My name's Tracy Ruggiero. I live at 8479 Oak Tree Drive. This is my first time speaking ever at a council meeting, and I apologize. I'm a little nervous. I'm not very good with public speaking. The reason why I'm speaking today is because I'm upset about the election and about some things going on in council. So I have it written down here what I wanted to say. The election on Tuesday, I have the results from 7 road issues that were throughout Summit County. Macedonia failed, as everyone here knows. Monroe Falls passed. Boston Heights passed. Bath Township passed. Coventry Township passed. Ridgefield Township passed. And Twinsburg passed. Those were all road issues that were on the ballot that passed. There were 31 total issues or levies in the November 8th election, and 5 of them failed. 2 of those that failed were ours. In Cuyahoga County, just in case you guys didn't look it up, because I mean, I have to admit, I first was just looking for Macedonia, but as I started scrolling down, I realized, oh my gosh, like passed, and ours didn't. So I decided to look into Cuyahoga County. The Cleveland income tax increase passed for Cleveland. The city of Cleveland passed an income tax. And we are the city of Macedonia, and we can't pass anything on the city. North Randall passed the tax renewal for police. They passed the tax renewal for fire. South Euclid passed the tax levy. It was a replacement and an increase, and it passed. Garfield Heights passed a school district levy. I grew up in Garfield Heights. I can't tell you how much this means that Garfield Heights passed a school levy. This is just amazing, and let me go into my story, sorry. All right. My family moved to Macedonia in 1993 from Garfield Heights, and at that time it was a great move. But this is not the same great city it was then. It's embarrassing that we keep electing and allowing council members that, number one, do not know what teamwork is because they have their own agenda. They speak in half-truths, and they do everything in their power to work against any city accomplishments. The council member I am referring to is Sylvia Hannigan. I'm tired of your games. I'm tired of the inability that you cause for this city to not move forward. Your calculating antics against progress has finally trickled down to me. My home, like many, is one of my largest investments. These 2 issues failing is going to devastate the residents of Macedonia. Bad roads, an empty rec center. We've spent all these years paying into this rec center, and now we are just going to let it close? How is that smart financing? This affects home value. Maybe you don't care about your home value, but I care about mine. You will not support any forward movement in this city unless it's your idea. In simple terms, you're a bully. Some examples of your governing. Sylvia has campaigned in neighboring cities against issues for our city. Sylvia has supported the Pla brothers as they sued the city over fake claims of discrimination and mass conspiracies, then harassed our city lawyers for details on that case. Then there was the whole debacle about the financial director, fighting to keep him on when there was overwhelming evidence of him being unethical while holding his position. That act cost our city over $100,000 in taxpayers' money. As a result of this, Sylvia took over as the acting finance advisor. She moved money around and failed to balance the budget. She just had to have her hands in everything. Now the city is in financial ruins. Blames everyone else instead of stepping up and admitting that you made a mistake. Sylvia has shouted out to the audience to shut up, calling them minions for supporting the mayor, not to mention the eye-rolling, falling asleep during meetings, total disrespect for everyone who does not agree with her. Sylvia held a non-city sanctioned town hall meeting in Twinsburg to oppose the levies that are much needed for our city. Instead of presenting the factual numbers to the audience at that meeting and on a YouTube video that followed, she presented her version of the city financials, numbers that are cherry-picked, misleading, and bold-faced lies. During the work session at the last council meeting, Sylvia stated an employee, quote, has physical and mental limitations, unquote, to perform the work he was being promoted to. That employee is 100% able to perform all duties. Sylvia once again questioning a department head's decision. During last year's election, when Sylvia ran for mayor, she broke into the Alzheimer's unit at Summit Point to campaign for votes. During this recent election, she reportedly told people coming to vote that they were voting on a property tax increase and it would affect and raise their taxes even though they were living off pension and Social Security. In fact, it would not have affected property taxes or their taxes. I would like my request for Sylvia Hannigan to step down from council to go on record. If she does not resign, I am asking that the rest of council stop the charade and remove her from office. Dave Engel, would you support the removal of Sylvia Hannigan?
I'm not at this point, no.
That's what I thought. You've been in office for how long now, and you haven't done anything up there. You blindly follow her and don't think about anyone else. Thank you.
All right, moving on to pending and/or new legislation. The first one is Ordinance 89, 2016, and I will offer Ordinance 89, 2016 for its second and third reading by title only.
Second.
An ordinance confirming the appointment by the mayor of Michael Black to the position of full-time service department park maintenance worker.
And I move that we pass and post according to law Ordinance 89, 2016.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 89, 2016 passes. Moving on to Ordinance number 95.
I'd offer Ordinance 95, 2016 for a first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the final appointment by the mayor of Heather DePente to the position of part-time police and fire dispatcher.
And what's your pleasure?
I move that we pass and post Ordinance 95, 2016 according to law.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance number 95 passes. Moving on to Ordinance 96.
Mr. President of Council, I move to offer ordinance number 96, 2016 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
I will second that. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the appointment by the mayor of Jay Hathaway to the position of full-time police officer.
And what's your pleasure?
Oh, I'm sorry, I move that we pass and post and make the same for ordinance number 96, 2016 according to law.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Hathaway, are you with us? If you don't mind coming up to the front, introduce your family. This is standard for us to introduce you and not embarrass you, but get to know you a little bit.
Don't forget the 10-minute speech.
And it's a 10-minute speech minimum.
10 minutes.
Sean.
Oh, you gotta get everybody.
Oh, okay.
Lots of babies.
I'm good at something.
Could you introduce your
This is my
family?
wife Ashley, this is my daughter Brittany, Isabella, this is Carter. I'm sure you guys know my brother, he's obviously the canine handler here. Landon, Brooke,
Jeez.
Carson. Thank you.
Chief, anything you want to add?
Sorry, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to both my family and I. It means a lot. Having worked next door in Boston Heights for 7 years, I've been able to develop friendships with members of the department as well as a professional working relationship. So I'm hoping for a smooth transition, and I'm excited to get out here with all you guys.
Yeah, Jay comes to us from Boston Heights and Hartville, has experience, has some skills that we can utilize. Obviously, his brother's our canine officer with Haro. Been looking for a guy for a while. He's going to fill Glenn Nichols' shoes that's now in the school. So we're glad to have Sean and Jay, I'm sorry.
Well, welcome to the family.
Give an applause for the appointment to the service department. He's not here today, but I'm sure the guys from the service department will probably want to acknowledge it.
Oh, sure. Is there anything you wanted to add about Mr. Black?
No, I think for the appointment, he's been with us now nearly 2 years. He's done a phenomenal job, and he would do a phenomenal job in the parks as well. His support staff is here with him in his place. He couldn't be here tonight.
Well, we welcome Mr. Black to the family as well. I apologize for not doing it earlier. Moving on to ordinance number 97.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 97, 2016 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance confirming the appointment by the mayor of Stephen Adwell to the position of part-time police department corrections officer.
And what's your pleasure?
I move we pass and post ordinance number 97, 2016 according to law.
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? He's not with us tonight, Chief? Okay. Moving on to ordinance number 98.
I'd like to offer ordinance number 98, 2016, for its first reading by title only, please.
An ordinance providing for the 2017 temporary appropriation.
Moving on to motions or other legislative items.
I'd like to make a motion for accepting donation of building materials valued at approximately $300 from Home Depot, Macedonia, Ohio, to the Longwood Manor Historical Society for use at the Manor House.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the second on that?
Second.
Any other motions or legislative items?
Not at this time.
Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence from the clerk.
I just have one resident, Jay Roberts, Whispering Woods, and he asked for, that I read this, please. On behalf of the residents of Lake Forest Estates in Macedonia, we would like to thank the police, fire, EMS, and city workers who all participated in our block party in September. We want to thank the police for providing a demonstration on bicycle safety for the kids and allowing them to explore the police vehicle. We would also like to thank fire and EMS for showing many of their equipment and tools and allowing the children to explore their safety vehicles. Thanks also for the service department for helping with the barricades, and the zoning department, Mayor Migliorini and Councilman Kevin Bilkey, for helping us obtain the necessary permits. It was great to see how wonderful the services are in the city and what they provide. Thank you again, Jason Roberts.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports.
Real quick, what we put on the first reading tonight is our temporary budget for 2017. As I've stated before, we really can't put together the 2017 budget till we go through a couple things. One was the election. We also have health benefits negotiations and contract negotiations. What we will be having, though, to discuss this issue, since we now know there will be no additional funds due to the levies failing. We will be having a meeting on Thursday, December 1st at 6 o'clock as a Finance Committee meeting where we can go through the items, and it really only takes us through the first quarter. By law, we don't have to have the full 2017 until the end of March. This will get us through the first quarter, and then once we get through the other two items, we can have discussion about the balance of the year. So the meeting will be held in the council workroom.
Also like to report that there will be a JUD meeting December 14th at 6:30 PM. Any other committee reports? Moving on to department reports.
Oh, you know what, I'm sorry, Nick. I can't remember the date, Angela. We are having a Parks and Recs Committee
It's
meeting.
it's on the calendar.
16th.
It's on this master
At
calendar.
6:30, Wednesday, this November 16th, at 6:30 at the Rec Center.
Thank you, Mr. Bilkey.
Sorry about that.
All right, we'll move on to department reports. Mr. Notavange.
Thank you. Late spring, early summer, made an announcement from one of the council meetings that we are starting the construction of our baseball dugouts at Longwood Park. I'm happy to report all 8 are fully constructed now with roofs and benches installed. Some final touches will be done in the spring, so that will be completed in time for baseball season to start, and look forward to seeing the expression on the kids' faces. Hopefully they enjoy them. A few of the guys that worked on that project are here. I won't embarrass them, but they worked their tails off and did a phenomenal job. Looks fantastic. We're nearing our second round of leaf collection. I know some areas don't have as many leaves falling as others, but you know, if weather allows, we'll make more than 3 passes. We did last year. We made 4. So as long as weather allows us to, we will continue to be out there. But one of the things that causes a problem for us, you know, we talk about spending money and keeping our fleet going, is finding things like this that get sucked into the leaf pile, somebody's mower blade, damaged our fan, our liner, and actually stuck in the chute of our machine. It could have easily been ejected out the top, hit a passing car coming by, or hit one of our guys. This cost us over $2,000 in repairs to our machine that was down. For someone's negligence that doesn't pay attention. These are the kind of things that are going to happen that are going to shut the machines down for good, because we're not going to have the money to repair them all the time. Right? We have simple rules here. It's a simple service to provide. We want to provide it for you, but not when we run into mishaps like this. That's all I have. Thank you.
Can I ask 2 quick questions? One, can you advise the folks, where did the money come from for the dugouts?
It came out of the park improvement fund that we have. That was from the collection from the 2 club.
Right, which was the money for these golf course driving range. It's park money that stayed in park, so people aren't out looking for it elsewhere. The other thing, touching on the leaf pickup, I just want to remind folks, please don't put them in the street. All that does is they go down into the drain, which clogs the drain, which causes flooding. And I was running a couple of the streets this week, and folks, you just can't put them in the street. Please put them on your tree lawn. Thank you.
Mr. Gelati.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Molnar. Just a few things to advise the council of, to keep you updated. State Route 82, they finished the paving in the zone between Dunkin' Donuts and Commons Boulevard, so we're happy to see that. ODOT will be out there in the upcoming days to do some finishing touches, striping, arrows, leveling some of the manholes, smoothing out some of the bumps on the transitions from the new pavement to the old, to give us as nice a finished product as possible. We also know ODOT is going to do a second sound wall for us along I-271. They've also agreed to put our name, the word Macedonia, right in the middle of the wall, which I think is a nice touch. Probably should have been on the first wall, but we'll have it on the second wall.
Thank you.
My latest conversation with the Northfield Village engineer, their ledge road closure is extended to at least November 22nd, so they're going to be about a week over their original schedule with that closure. And lastly, Mr. Molnar, I think the resident Dan Gary that lives on State Route 82 had contacted you. We did get the contractor who damaged that yard out there just earlier this week to restore his yard. So that contractor did the right thing. We're happy to see that. So that's all I have.
Also, there were some questions that came up this week, because I know it was early after the paving, but there wasn't arrows painted into the turning lanes yet. And I know that caused some confusion, and I had noticed in the road that they had marked them out to do them, but rest assured, folks, that there will be painted arrows in those turning lanes. And will there be a straight arrow in the lane to the right as well? Because that question came up as well. You don't normally do that, but I know it gets a little confusing with the change.
You mean approaching Commons Boulevard?
Correct.
Have to take a look at that.
I don't know if that follows the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices.
OMUCT, yeah.
But I think that if we could do that, that might be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll have straight arrows in the dedicated straight lanes, but certainly turn arrows in the dedicated turn lanes. So.
Thank you. Mrs., I almost called you Numeric, Manley.
Thank you. With the failure of issue 19, I choose not to stoop down to the level of those who spread a lot of negativity and a lot of mistruths to residents around this community, but rather I choose to focus on the positive moving forward. I will be meeting with the mayor next week, and we will then present a plan as far as the future of the recreation department, the rec center, and the city parks, and what that future holds for those areas of this city. I would also just like to mention that the rec center is closed on Thanksgiving Day. We will be reopened on the following day at 5:30 a.m. Per usual hours. And looking ahead to our holiday planning, December 3rd is our annual Dinner with Santa, where Santa arrives by fire truck for the kids. It is a registration-only event, and we will be serving pizza that evening. So if anyone has any questions, I invite you to please contact me. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall?
Thank you. Just a quick comment about, we have Rita coming in next week for the subpoena program. Again, over 1,300 letters were sent out to Macedonia residents for being either not filing or being late to unfiling. They will be here on November 15th and 16th all day. So please, if you know anybody, spread the word so that they do come here. If they, for any reason, don't think that they should be part of that program, they need to contact Rita pretty much as soon as they can. You know, I know we're going to be discussing next week, or the December 1st, our temporary budget for next year, but with the failure of both 18 and 19, right now, depending upon how this year ends up and how next year goes, we could be looking at fiscal watch. Fiscal caution, potentially fiscal watch. You know, depending upon how the next year or two go, but definitely next year, plan on possibly being in fiscal caution. So.
Ms. Hall, how does the income tax dropping to 1.75 affect the overall? Does it take it down $1 million? I know the estimate that the extra 0.25 would increase it $1 million.
Well, by taking it down to 1.75, you lose $1 million in the recreation center fund. So depending upon the activity in that fund, if it goes in excess of their fund balance, you know, in year 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be, the general fund is responsible to cover any extra costs. So that would be then taking money away from the general fund. Next year, the general fund, depending upon what ends up happening with negotiations with the unions, and we're going to have to figure out a way to cut costs, because the ending fund balance right now is not looking good. And you have to maintain, to be in fiscal caution, you have to be able to have a fund balance of at least 1 month's worth of expenditures.
So I guess my question was, this year we're tracking to be about $8.3 million in total receipts from Rita.
Somewhere around there.
Next year at 1.75, what would that number be?
I think it ends up being 700 or 7 million, 7 million 3, somewhere in that vicinity.
$1 million. Awesome. Thank you.
Chief Black.
I have some numbers from October from our call volumes. Macedonia had 112 EMS calls and 19 fire calls out of Sagamore Hills, Station 2, they had 68 EMS and 15 fire. In Northfield Center, out of Station 3, we had 50 EMS calls and 9, bringing the total to 230 EMS calls, 43 fire calls, for a grand total of 273 calls in the month of October. On our response times, our average response times, which is very, very important to us to keep our response times down. Getting on scene keeps emergencies from becoming bigger emergencies. So in Macedonia, within our response district, we had 124 calls. It was 4 minutes and 12 seconds from the time of call until we were on scene. Sagamore Hill Station 2 had 81. It was 4 minutes and 52 seconds for us to be on scene. And then Northfield Center Station 3, 43 calls, was 4 minutes and 30 seconds for a grand total average of 4 minutes and 31 seconds. So we're very, very happy with those numbers. We had 6 mutual aid auto aids in, 1 mutual aid in that we called, and 0 out, and 6 mutual aid calls. So auto aid, we had 0 out and 6 mutual aids that we went out to assist other communities. So looking rather good. I released this report to the trustees in Sagamore Hills and Northfield Center, and they were very happy with our response times. We have a lot of work still to do getting the equipment in service, and we're going to be working on ISO, trying to decrease our ISO numbers again. And our Pancake Day is this Sunday. Please come to support our veterans. All proceeds will go to the vets for our Memorial Park. So we're hoping for a whole bunch of people and able to give them a large sum of money for the Memorial Park. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Gaddetti? No report, sir. I believe I missed Mr. Casmer. Is there anything you wanted to speak about briefly? Come up to the mic, please. You can come to this mic right here.
We're continuing to make progress. We're getting closer. One thing I could mention, the mayor approved Rampart Security to install a security system at the manor, and we're very pleased with that, of course. And apparently Rampart is doing it just at materials cost, which I noticed, because you gave me I saw a copy of the email, was very reasonable. So that's a big step, towards opening the manor, having the proper security in the house. The furnace is working great that Jackson Heating installed. Volunteers are working on the outside of the house. And one thing I'll mention, I hope, getting back to Jackson Heating, that was an investment on their part in terms of a furnace of about $6,500. They did it completely as a donation, plus they added a new thermostat, programmable thermostat, all that, and they'll maintain the furnace. I hope that the city's going to do some kind of motion, accepting that. I'm not quite sure how you do that. I noticed you gave you've done Lowe's and Home Depot motions for the materials. Well, I presume this one's coming up, because this is the second biggest contribution we've had to the manor.
I'd suggest possibly calling Rhonda and figuring out how we need to get that set up, because I know it has to go through the finance department, so I'd suggest giving her a call.
We just need the specific information, I think, is what we were waiting for.
Or just a donation.
We'll have the motion made.
Who accounts for that?
Actually, we've just been waiting for you to send it.
Pardon?
We've just been waiting for you to send it.
Oh, you're waiting
The
for us to send it to? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, this was, we had gotten an estimate on the furnace to have one installed by a contractor. It was about $6,500. So we got a furnace that's practically brand new. It was a showroom furnace. It's a little older, but it was very little use, so it's practically a brand new furnace. So, we're making progress, and we're looking forward to, to hoping to getting the first floor open as soon as we have all the pieces in place.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to unfinished business.
Two quick things for the fire department. First of all, thank you for the Halloween party. We had a lot of kids there, a lot of creative ideas, and a lot of fun. And I also like to say thank you on behalf of our neighbors for the quick response time. They were very impressed with the response time. They were very impressed with the three guys who came out to care for my neighbors, so thank you.
Any other unfinished business? Any new business?
Yeah, Mr. President, I have a couple questions. Say that I'm disappointed that the levy for the parks didn't pass is an understatement. I mean, it's basically the essential reason I ran for city council last year. And you know, we had an executive session last week, or last council meeting, because I needed to clarify some numbers that were being put out to the community through a YouTube video, through a town hall, unsanctioned town hall meeting. And Ms. Hannikin, did not grace us with her presence at this executive meeting. So I figured I'd take the time to ask her now. I have some real issues with some of the numbers that you brought up, and I'd like you to explain, where do you think that $850,000 for roads is going to come next year? Because it was said in your YouTube video and in the flyer that you put out. So I'm all ears.
Mr. Bilkey, I don't know what we're being treated to here tonight, but I've already offered, let me just say this. We need to work together. There's obviously anger and disappointment. I expected that. But I am one person, and I have one vote. And I'd just like to say this. The amount of time that I have spent working on this process and trying to figure this out, and offering to talk to you about it, which you've refused to do, and now we're on what I wanted to do was spend some time and explain to you what I thought. I have briefed that. I am one person with a view of the situation. I do believe, as you know, and I've said before, that we should keep our income tax rate at 2%. That's all I've said. And as to the specific recommendations that council has made, they present them to the voters. They've used public funds to advertise to the voters, and they have not been able to persuade the voters that that particular combination is the good combination. So
Not to advertise.
it is, and I believe that I have from reading Mr. Guidetti's opinion on all of this, as to whether I have a right to express a dissenting opinion, I do.
No one's asking you about your dissenting opinion. I'm asking you where you came up with this distributed misinformation.
I am going to,
I'll be offered. I'm trying not to get upset. Yes. You have a responsibility of being a member of council to uphold a certain standard.
I do. And
calling people to go out and tell people that there's money for roads, I want to know, where did you come up with this money?
Well, when we go to a financial meeting, which
I want to know right now.
Well, I understand. But you're not the boss, Mr. Bilkey. I said that it's a legitimate question. I have expressed this before.
So my second question to you, since you're not going to answer the first.
Yes.
In those same YouTube videos and the same flyers that you passed around, you said that the operation budget's up 14% from 2015.
Yes, it is. I said.
The actual budget in the numbers, you know, are not finalized till the end of the year. Ms. Hall, what do you believe that the operation cost of the city will be?
Now let's start.
What do you think the operation cost of the city will be at the end of 2016? Will it be 14% or lower?
Lower. Well,
but you distribute that information. It's irrational, and it's misleading, and it's lying. And then you tell me that you want to debate me, but I don't need to debate you.
You're absolutely right.
You give false numbers, and then you think that we should debate. Well, anyone can win a debate by using false numbers. We just saw it on Tuesday night.
Let me just say this, one final thing. The numbers I used were the numbers that we appropriated. Then that's the fact.
You should resign. You really should resign. I mean, I'm not saying that there is a little bit of sour grapes here because the election didn't go the way that I hoped it. Mm-hmm. But you are stairheading a movement that is telling people wrong information. You told people walking in to vote at the rec center that it was a property tax. You told people that it was a property tax. Was anybody up here, does anyone know that it was an income tax increase and not a property tax?
In the first place.
I mean, she doesn't say that I'm lying. She just wants for me to shut up because she knows, you know what, I'm going to make a motion right now to remove you from office. Mark, can I do that?
Yeah, you can. Can I ask one question, Ms. Hannigan? I never saw this paper. So I gather you didn't distribute this paper to my street because nobody that I talked to had seen it. But I keep hearing these numbers, and then I finally saw it. Where did you come up with those numbers? They were not numbers that we talked about in our finance meeting. They were not numbers that we talked about as council as a whole.
Jan, can I add that in that same literature, she put it that $214,000 that is going to be collected from the ONRSD, that it will not pave one road. And it's not designed to pave any road, but that's a reason for you should vote down an issue that's going to fix our roads. Does that make any sense? But that is the literature that this woman put out.
Can I also ask?
Second my motion so we can get on to
I'd also like to ask one other question.
This is ridiculous.
You had a piece of legislation that you proposed, and we chose not to take it because we chose to go with two to give the voters a choice. But your piece of legislation was almost identical to our legislation for the roads. Why did you then go out and say, vote no for the roads, if you knew in your legislation we needed the money for the roads? It's illogical to have that piece of legislation, and because it wasn't yours that we passed, that's the only reason I can think that you decided you had to go tell people we don't need money for the roads. But you had the exact same a dollar amount, the same percent, and the same amount of years. Why?
Answer the question.
Folks, please, let us talk up here.
Are you going to answer, or are you deciding you will put all this paper out to everybody, except a select few, and let that speak? I would like an answer. Why do we, Mr. Engel, why do we ask? We talk about respect up here. Respect would be answering the question. Did you get that piece of paper?
Did I get the piece of paper?
Yeah, the one that said don't vote?
No, I did not get one delivered to me.
Okay, so it was selective distribution.
Does anybody have it on them?
But let me ask, may I make a comment? I understand respect, and that's important, but I also understand that respect goes both ways, and I understand that people are unhappy. You know, we've just finished the federal level election, which is probably the most contentious election in my history. We have thousands of protesters in numerous cities now protesting the president.
This has nothing to do with that.
Respect allows
Do not try and deflect it.
See, that's the problem. And the man with the hammer needs to control the meeting. You know, we have to have some respect.
Are you going to cry?
Let me speak, please.
Are you going to be respectful? If you're not going to be respectful, I am respectful. But
All right, let's just let Mr.
what we
Engel
do, you know what? Let me just talk.
Speak. Go ahead.
Oh, speak.
But talk about the issues of our city.
I am trying to talk about the issues of the city. And what happened to our city was last year in the election, we got hijacked because the then mayor allowed everybody to turn this into a bashing. Every night, we bashed everybody. And it became brutal. And it went on and on and on, and nobody would stop the bashing, and nobody now wants to stop the bashing. Government requires respect. Government requires us to sit down and have rational debate. Government, by the people, requires us to disagree and to listen. But we don't want to listen anymore. It is embarrassing to sit up here and watch the citizenry act the way they do. It is embarrassing to sit up here and watch people on council act the way they do. It's all attack. It is all bash. You know, I'm a lawyer, for good or bad. I don't care if you like lawyers or you don't like lawyers, but it influences the way I think. And I think in terms of what's called due process, which is basically fairness. It's a right to know what's going to be happening. It's a right to confront your accusers. Mrs. Hannigan has now been 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, into a motion, which I don't know there's been a second yet, to have her removed from council. That's not fair. That's not due process. If you want to go through with this,
There's a 10-day process.
no, well, that's fine. This is not a 10-day process. You're making a motion now. You have to give her a right to respond. You have to have a right. May I
I'm asking her to
finish?
respond now, Dave. I'm
No.
asking her to respond now. She
You're
put out the
interrupting
information.
me.
I don't care, because I'm sick of listening to you. Because you're rattling off,
No.
and you're not. Listen, do you think it's ethical for a councilwoman to put out misleading information in light of the people in
I
Macedonia?
think it's ethical for a council person to voice.
No one wants to answer any questions.
I'm trying to, sir, but you won't let me, but you want to interrupt me. That's the problem.
Ms.
That's all we want to do is argue.
Ms. Hannigan, will you answer the I want to know
Is she
because
prepared to answer is the first question.
the first question is, where did you get, she should be prepared.
No, she doesn't.
The information that was presented by her, why would she not be prepared, Mr. Engel? She created the document, she prepared
put out the
it,
YouTube
she
video.
held a meeting. I never saw it, and I got residents asking me about it. I don't know where she got the numbers.
The reason she may not be prepared, and I don't know, I haven't talked to her about it, is that she may have figures and things she needs to show you to support.
Well, Dave, do
what
you
she
think
has.
it was ethical
No.
for her not to come to the executive meeting that we
Yes,
have?
it is truly ethical for her not to be at an executive commission.
when we
There is
were-
no requirement that people.
I'm not asking about requirement. I'm saying, do you think it was ethical for her to just skip out when we had direct questions? Because I would have loved to ask these questions in that meeting
Well,
and get answers.
first off, executive session is confidentiality, and you're not supposed to be blabbing about what we did in there.
I didn't say a
Sure
word
you
about
are.
it.
Sure you are. You're
I
telling
did
him
not
right
say
now.
what I was talking about.
You didn't tell her.
I said that we talked about an employee
He
Right.
didn't
of the
talk-
city.
He did
And-
not
and
say
you-
what we
and you
talked
didn't
about
say
at all.
that it wasn't who it was. So if she didn't want to attend, that's her prerogative.
I didn't say it was about her.
You sure did.
I said that she didn't attend it.
Guys,
My gosh.
time out.
You know, you certainly implied it was
Time out.
about her because you said it.
Time out. You know, Dave, I hear what you're saying about respect, and I agree with you. But the problem is, I've sat up here for the past year. I get attacked by Mrs. Hannigan about my personal job. She brought it up in the last meeting, and she tells everyone he got fired. There's documents that she has that she called down there for that has public statements that say, I wasn't fired, I resigned. I moved on to another job. I found another job. Did I get fired? So respect does go both ways, but you defend the negative tone that comes out of that side of the table, and it continually is false.
Don't accuse Nikki of being negative.
Dave,
It's
you
on
know
that side.
darn well that.
I
Dave, can I
defend-
finish, please? I allow you to
Then
finish, please.
If I can have mine.
You know darn well that the things that were said about here about my personal job are wrong. There's no place for it here. It has no place for it. It never did have a place here. It's the insinuation that Nick did something wrong and we're going to get him. There's nothing there. I have a personal life. I work a job just like anybody else. So because I left my job, we have an insinuation that Nick's guilty of something, and when we get our thumb on it, we're going to get it. She pulled out a document in the last meeting that I know is fresh, that she called down there for to get a public record for. So when does the attack stop on me? I'm tired of the woe is me. It's really a bully up here. Mrs. Ruggiero brought light to it tonight when she spoke about it. We are the ones being bullied, and when we defend ourselves, we're the bad guy. I've sat up here and taken abuse. My family's taken abuse. I've had a wife who is upset beyond all means. I'll even take you back a step further. When my wife was pregnant with my son and was put onto the Parks Board, there was 2 open spots that were open for 6 months. No one took those spots. I said, honey, why don't you do it? You're a teacher. You love kids. It's a great opportunity for you. And I got attacked for my pregnant wife taking that position. And here I sit, the victim in my mind, and I go, where's the respect on my behalf? I've never been respected up here. It's been total disrespect. Any question that's asked her is diverted. And all I want to know is, if you're going to preach respect, preach it to the person to the right of you.
I'm trying to preach respect to everyone. The issue right now is whether or not we're going to move forward with a motion, and apparently, which I thought Mr. Bilkey was asking for immediate vote on. That's not right, and that's what I'm arguing against right now. We all need to have respect for each other, but we also, respect requires that the person sharing the meeting, and I'm not directing these comments to you, allow dissenting opinions from time to time. I don't particularly like to sit here for hours and listen, but I do, because that's my job. That's my point right now.
I guess the final point I'll make about simply this, you know, we're emotional, we're upset, things have happened in this community, and I'm not happy about it either, but you know what, we're gonna work with it, we're gonna move forward. But if Mr. Bilkey can't ask a fellow council member a question without getting an answer, that's kind of a problem. I think you need to be able to answer, because if you're gonna put the time and effort into going against something, then you should be able to answer to it. And it shouldn't take much time. When you developed it, you spent money on it, you put it in the newspapers, you held private meetings. I mean, there should be an easy answer. How I came up with a number? Well, here's how I did it.
I'm sorry, I jumped in on you, but I agree. If Mr. Bilkey has a question and he addresses it to Mrs. Hannigan, then she should address his question. But I still stand firm on my commitment, or my prior statements, that, you know, you catch somebody off guard. Sometimes they need to get their thoughts together. Sometimes they need to get documents together. I don't know which, if either, apply to this particular question. All I'm saying is to suddenly hit with a very technical question, or it seemed to me to be quite a technical question, and demand an answer that that person may not be able to give.
If they were able to give the answer 2 days ago, when people came to vote, what technicality comes between Tuesday and Thursday for her not to answer the question?
I interpreted Mr. Bilkey's question to be that he's asking for specific numbers. He's asking to draw specific numbers out, which I consider to be a technical question.
I appreciate your answering, but the question is for Ms. Hannigan, not for you. And I know you're a lawyer. I don't know if you're representing her, but as a fellow council person.
No.
Well, as fellow council person, my question was not to you. My question was to her.
Well, but I thought I had a right to talk.
You do,
and
but
you specifically addressed me, which I
my
felt
question
I had to
still is
respond.
for Ms. Hannigan.
Well, then if she's ready to respond, let her respond. I don't care.
I'll ask one more question, and this one she should be able to answer. As people walked in to vote at the rec center, did you tell people that it was a property tax?
I'm sorry, what are you talking about? We were talking about the tax.
Exactly.
We didn't even talk about the tax levies in most cases. There were a couple people there who were, but I didn't call it a property tax because it's not. Why would I?
So if I could produce people that said that Ms. Heineken addressed them and said it was a property tax, Dave, would you be willing to listen and remove her from office?
I'll
Because
be
that's-
willing to listen.
I mean, that's a lie.
It's
I mean,
a lie
because
that I
people-
said that.
Well,
And
it's a-
you can produce it on.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm asking Dave now, not you. I mean, the level this person is going right now is, and it's dragging the city with it.
I'm willing to listen to whatever you want to bring forward. All I'm saying is that we need to bring it forward in an appropriate time and to
Well,
allow.
I'm not 100%
respond.
sure how the procedure goes for removal of office,
Well,
but
you
I
made
do
the motion.
believe,
You should know.
I believe that it is a 10-day period.
She
and
has
Ms.
to be
Heineken
provided
is-
written notice of the charges against her, and a
Yes,
hearing
there
will
has
be
to be
set
a whole series of
a
events.
minimum of 10 days after notice.
Okay, well, how do I go
I
about
have to
doing
hire
that?
an attorney, we're gonna get into a lot of stuff. I'm just telling you this, there is nothing about
You
any
can
of this.
clarify it
that's-
right now by just answering the question.
You know what? If you wanted me to answer a question in a detailed fashion, which apparently you do, you had every opportunity to write me a note, and you didn't even discuss it in the work session,
I
did
told you I was going to ask you questions.
You said you were going to, you didn't say what they were about, okay? So now you come out here at the last part of the meeting, and you've been calling me a liar and a snake.
I'm sorry
and all
about
that.
this.
You have been doing
There are
that.
people that are in the audience right now that were at that meeting, and you
Yeah.
specifically went how that money was going to come about, and now all of a sudden you forgot?
I haven't forgotten anything.
Well,
I'm
then
saying,
answer it.
I am telling you that if you want to have a discussion, and we want to have, as I even asked you to do this before, I asked you to come.
I just want you to stop misrepresenting the truth and misrepresenting and putting facts out there that are not what we are governed by. I mean, it's impossible to govern our city
Right.
with the money that we have, and you are out telling people that we have X amount more money that we can fix our roads and to run the rec center. And it's not fair when people go to the vote that they have that information from you. It skews their, you know, what we are trying to do up here. We're trying to make our city better.
I agree. We seem to have a difference of opinion on what that means, that's all.
But I just want to present the truth.
Well, sir.
And you are
then-
unwilling to do it.
No, sir, I'm not.
It's frustrating.
Well, I understand you're frustrated, but I've offered to have a debate with you even, and you've refused to do that. I've offered to bring all
why can't
kinds
we
of
do it right
detail
here?
to you, because, sir, you haven't asked me to bring all this material and let's spend 45 minutes or an hour on it. If you want to do that, I'd be
I
happy.
don't. I just want you to stop misrepresenting the facts.
Well, then,
And just put out
you
the
need to
truth.
know what they are, sir, that's the problem. Okay.
So you think, never mind. I mean, you
Just
guys
told-
are all listening to this. She did not answer my questions, and I feel that she's lying to you.
Okay.
So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Mr. Bill,
Adjourn.
you have a motion on the table.
I'll withdraw it.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Adjourn.
Now you can make a motion to adjourn.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bilkey,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
No, it's too much fun.
and Ms. Hannikin
What are we voting on, Josephine?
to adjourn.
Yes.
Mr. Molnar
Yes.
and Ms. Todd.
Yes, please pay attention.